Welcome. We're glad you've been able to take some time this evening to join us. I'm Alyssa DeFilippo, Program Manager of Parents Helping Parents Connections California, which is our online statewide resource and information hub for transition to adulthood and adult services. So, if you're interested in knowing about social pragmatics and why it matters, you have come to the right place. This evening, we have Oindrila Das, who is a learning specialist and certified peers facilitator at the Landmark College Success Center in San Mateo. She provides individualized executive functioning and academic coaching to students with diverse learning profiles. And with a background in education, program development, and experience in the tech sector, Oindrila brings a creative and process-oriented lens to her work. She also serves as a STEM project manager at a nonprofit working to expand opportunities for youth. And as a special treat this evening, after her presentation, we will invite 3 students and alumni from Landmark to have a panel discussion about their experiences. So, without further ado, I am going to stop my share and turn it over to Oindrila. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here today. Let me just start my screen share here. All right.
Well done.
Great. So good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Oindrila Das, and like Alyssa said, I'm a learning specialist and a certified peers facilitator at the Landmark College Success Center in San Mateo. Tonight, I'll be sharing about Landmark College, the work we do at the Success Center, and especially about our peers service. After that, you'll hear directly from some of our former participants, and we'll leave time for your questions. Here's what our time together will look like. I'll start with an introduction to Landmark College and our Success Center in San Mateo. Then I'll go into detail about the peers service, what it is, what we teach, and why it matters. After that, we'll hear from 3 Landmark students and alumni who have participated in peers. And finally, we'll open things up for your questions and some discussion. Landmark College is a pioneer in higher education for individuals who learn differently. We serve individuals with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and executive function challenges. In Vermont, Landmark offers both associate and bachelor's degree programs with flexible minors and concentrations. Some programs are available fully online, and all of our courses are designed with universal design for learning in mind. We also run summer services for high school students and specialized services for individuals transitioning into or through college. In addition to the main campus in Vermont, Landmark extends support through the Landmark College Success Center here in San Mateo, California, and also provides remote services for individuals and families across the country, and even some internationally, actually. So a little bit more about the Success Center in San Mateo. The Landmark College Success Center in San Mateo supports neurodivergent teens, young adults, and adults with personalized academic, social, and life skill coaching. Our services include executive function and academic strategy coaching, such as time management, organization, study skills, and transitions into and through college. We also provide social support through the peers workshops, which helps individuals build friendships, practice self-advocacy, and increase independence. In addition, we offer workshops and group sessions for both individuals and parents and guardians. Services are flexible. They can take place here in San Mateo or remotely, depending on what works best for each family. So why peers? So peers is actually an acronym. It stands for the Program for the Education and Enrichment of Relational Skills. It was originally developed at UCLA and is now used worldwide. At Landmark College and the Success Center in San Mateo, we use peers to support neurodivergent teens and young adults, including those with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and other learning differences. Why does peers matter? Well, research shows that social pragmatics, which are the unwritten rules of conversation and relationships, can actually be taught and practiced. So individuals who participate gain practical tools for making and keeping friends, handling conflicts, and navigating the social parts of life in high school, college, and beyond. And importantly, peers is not about changing who someone is. Rather, it's about expanding the choices that we all have. In the workshops and during social coaching, we often talk about peers in terms of the four selves. So self-awareness means understanding how I show up in a conversation, how I communicate, how others see me, and how I affect people around me. Self-advocacy is learning to identify what I need and to ask for it clearly, whether that's help from a teacher, space from a roommate, or support from a friend. Self-determination is about making my own choices, deciding which goals matter to me and how I want to pursue them, rather than letting others decide everything for me. And finally, self-reliance is about confidence and independence, building the skills to solve problems, take initiative, and handle challenges in everyday life. Together, these four selves are the foundation for independence and healthy relationships. Sorry about that, my computer got stuck here. So one thing about peers is that we have a neurodiversity affirming approach. Our philosophy is neurodiversity affirming. That means we start with choice and authenticity. Individuals decide which strategies feel right for them. We don't believe there's only one right way to connect with others. Instead, we offer tools, not rules. If a strategy feels like masking or doesn't fit an individual's authentic self, they don't have to use it. The goal isn't to fix or normalize anyone. The goal is growth, helping individuals build relationships, advocate for themselves, and participate in community on their own terms. This approach helps individuals feel respected and safe while practicing new skills. Some of the core skills in peers are listed here. Each week of peers focuses on one area of social communication. We use direct teaching, role plays, video examples, and lots of practice. The skills we cover include starting, maintaining, and ending conversations naturally, identifying sources of friends, using humor appropriately, showing good sportsmanship in games, planning and attending get-togethers, resolving conflicts, and handling teasing or bullying. Each skill builds on the next, giving individuals a clear, structured pathway to grow their social worlds. So an example lesson here, trading information. One of the first peers lessons is called trading information. The idea is that friendships are built on common interests. Individuals learn to ask questions about likes and hobbies, answer their own questions so the conversation is balanced, listen carefully and remember answers, and share the conversation equally. We also encourage open-ended questions like, what kind of movies do you like, instead of yes or no questions. And we teach follow-up questions to show interest and keep the conversation going. This lesson gives individuals a structure that makes small talk less intimidating and more purposeful. Moving on to some of the helpful versus risky behaviors. In peers, we talk about what's socially helpful versus socially risky. Helpful strategies include listening actively, asking open-ended and follow-up questions, sharing about yourself, and keeping the conversation balanced. On the other hand, risky strategies include talking too much, acting like an interviewer by only asking questions, correcting or policing others, teasing too early, oversharing, or jumping into sensitive topics like politics or money too soon. By labeling behaviors as helpful or risky, individuals have a clear, non judgmental framework to guide their choices and social interactions. The impact of peers. Individuals who complete peers often notice real changes. They feel more confident in social situations. They make stronger friendships based on shared interests, and they improve their self advocacy, asking for help, setting boundaries, and expressing needs. They also gain independence. They're more able to plan a hangout, manage a conflict, or navigate a group without relying on adults. And these skills transfer into classrooms, dorm life, workplaces, and family settings. Parents and guardians often tell us they see their child taking new social risks, joining group activities, and expressing themselves with more confidence. Now, it's time to hear from our students directly. I'd like to welcome CJ Barron, Dominic Lamardi, and Owen Lucas. They'll share their experiences with Landmark and with peers. I have some prepared questions, and then we'll open up to the audience for a Q&A at the end of the session. So Dominic, CJ, and Owen, I'd love if you could come off mute and turn your cameras on so that you can introduce yourselves, and we can take it from there.
Hi.
So
Howdy.
can you start us off with a quick introduction as to who you are? And I am realizing now that Dominic, your name is spelled wrong. My sincere apologies. It's Dominic Limaldi. So that doesn't sound right. I'm so sorry. That is a typo. So I will fix that. But Dominic Limaldi, can you start off with an intro about yourself, and then we can pass it over to the others?
Sure. Hi everyone. My name is Dominic Limaldi, and I am alumni from the class of 2025. And currently, what I'm doing with my life is I'm working with the social pragmatics department here at Landmark College as the graduate assistant for the social pragmatics department.
Do you want to go, Owen, or should I?
I'm happy to let you go, CJ.
Okay. Hi, I'm CJ. I'm a current student. I've taken peers before, and I'm a campus ambassador, which basically means I get to do stuff like this to help educate like families and students coming in all about Landmark.
Okay, sweet. I am Owen Lucas. I have a very long resume. I am the station manager of our radio station up here in Vermont, WLMC, Radio the Finn. I also am a campus ambassador, and I also work in the social pragmatics department as a student program assistant. So that's just kind of a few things I do around here.
Great. Thanks so much. All right. So to start off with, Owen, I'd love to hear from you first for this question. How did your understanding of social communication change during your time at Landmark?
Um, that's a super question. And actually, one of the things that I probably learned even as at Landmark is my understanding of communication as a whole. Because I learned that the secret to communication, the secret weapon in communication is how you make other people feel. And probably what I've figured out through social communication, in my tenure that I've been here, um, would just be, like seeing like verbal, nonverbal cues, people's body language, how the two scope at the interactions that I'm having, know when maybe that the maybe that this is a good conversation, or maybe when I might want to change the subject, and also just scoping out, seeing if they're interested in something. Just getting to know a person a little more, being able to just have a kind of a better understanding of those different cues and all those different meta messages that are sent through communication that we may or may not realize that we are sending. And also just intent versus impact. Like what I say right now, what I am intending may come off impactly differently to the other person that's on the other end. So it's a lot of different things, though. Not to get too much into the weeds with the much about communication, but that's kind of things that I've learned ever since I've been in the program.
Thanks so much for that. CJ, would you like to add on?
Oh, yeah, I agree with basically everything Owen said. I think the intent versus impact is really hard for a lot of us to understand, and peers did help with that. I think also just learning that I could do more than I thought. A lot of the times I'm putting myself in situations where I can kind of be introverted and not talk and kind of like look, which is good, but also like in peers they teach you like step by step how to approach a group, how to make friends, how to like be the social person, which I really never was. And so like learning how to do that and practicing those skills, I think has been really, really helpful. Like even this job, I didn't know I could do this, speaking in front of so many people. But that's really like a big part of it is due to peers.
Thank you so much for sharing. Dominic, anything to add?
Yeah, so understanding social communication during my time at Landmark changed in a very positive light. When I first came to Landmark, I was like, oh my goodness, like what's going on? What is peers really? I haven't done really peers. I've done peers since I was in third grade before coming to Landmark into high school. But the way Landmark taught it was a big transition for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, like what's going on? And it changed me in a very positive light in terms of understanding how to communicate with my peers.
Fantastic. Thank you all for sharing your answers to that question. And I agree with everything that you all said. And I think what peers does is make a lot of the things that we take implicitly and make them explicit. And it's wonderful to hear that it has affected you all in the ways that it has. My next question is for you, CJ. If you had just one piece of advice to give to parents or guardians, what would it be?
Oh, sorry, I'm like also looking at the chat. Should I answer this first?
Yeah, I think the for the chat we'll come back to it during the
Okay.
Q&A portion.
Sorry about that,
So
guys.
yeah, no, I know it can be a little distracting. Do you want me to repeat my question to you?
That would be lovely.
Of course. If you had just one piece of advice to give to parents or guardians, what would
Oh,
it
yeah. Yeah. I would say, at least in my experience, I've had a lot of adults want certain things of me. Um, and I don't think they look inward and see that I'm trying really hard to communicate with them. I'm like speaking a totally different language than them, and they're not meeting me like at least a little bit at all. And so I think like sometimes when adults or neurotypical people say, "Hey, you're doing this wrong. Why don't you change this?" It's really hard, and it feels unfair to us to accept because it's like I'm trying so hard to be palatable for you. Can you like do a little bit the same for me? So I guess just like keeping an open mind, trying to remember that we are trying to communicate. We're just, sometimes we're coming a little bit short. And also it's just different ways. Like nothing's bad or good. It's just different.
Thank you for your honest answer, CJ. I really appreciate it. Dominic, over to you next. Would you like to add anything or your own perspective?
Yeah, so advice I would give to parents or guardians in regard to peers is that it's okay to let your student or child handle the situation on their own. And if they need the guidance for like how to support them socially, you can give them that guidance. And it's okay to give them reassurance that they're gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that affirmation can be really important. Owen, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, and I agree with everything that my other fellow two colleagues have said. I also felt like again, with the parent as a with a parent or guardian, I think my parents would say this myself, as much as they were nervous sending me here for the first time and not knowing a lot about what like peers was, is I think giving us that leeway, that room to grow and make mistakes. I think that this is one of the better places to do it and to be in an environment where if we're catching these things we're doing in here, and this is really just a space to learn. And so 100% I would absolutely I would say that.
Thank you all for sharing your perspectives. Those were awesome answers and awesome pieces of advice to give. My next question is for you, Dominic. How did learning to navigate social situations help you feel more confident or independent?
So, in terms of how learning to navigate social situations helped me feel more confident and independent, it helped me figure out like who I am as a person socially and figure out like how I can interact with others and how to give myself enough credit in social situations. And it's okay to make those mistakes and learn to improve from them.
Thank you for sharing. Over to you, Owen.
Hey, navigating social situations is if I believe that's what the question is for me, it was really going out into um Uh, it's really it's like driving. The only way to get better at it is to actually do it. And you could say that about really anything, including being able to grow as a social person. You're gonna have really bad days out in the open world, and it's gonna be like, oh, that was so awkward. And maybe you'll go back there another day, and you'll know what to expect, and then you can take that and kind of apply it and know maybe this worked, maybe this didn't work, this wasn't the right place for this worked really well. And so I think and you go out, there's one thing that going out in the field does, and it's really where you get experience. It's like people aren't driving F1 cars as soon as they get their driver's license. So it's like they have to start somewhere, is what I'm essentially saying.
Thanks, Owen. CJ?
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I think also just being in a really supportive space, along with a lot of other neurodivergent people, is so incredibly important for us. I got diagnosed late, and for like my whole life, I believe there was something inherently wrong with me, and I feel like a lot of us do. And so just like seeing the traits that I thought were bad in myself reflected in other people that I really loved, I think that was like such a healing and confidence boosting thing. Um, yeah, and also it helps that since we are in peers and you're like surrounded by peers, you can take in what they're saying too and know, hey, like these are people with similar struggles that I have had my entire life. And they're saying this because they know. And it feels just really like validating and important.
Yeah, that sense of community and camaraderie can be really life-changing. And I really appreciate you all sharing your takes on that question. My next question is back to you again, CJ. And this time around, it's if you had just one piece of advice to give to students or participants, what would it be?
It would be just I know it's like sounds scary, but just doing a little bit is so helpful. Putting yourself out there and like one step at a time, or maybe even a half step, is so important. And you can always, it's not a bad thing to like go back to being your introverted self and not interact with people. But just like remembering that you are much stronger than you think, and there's nothing wrong with you, and this is just a place to like be around people that are similar. I think looking at it like that has been really helpful for me.
Yeah, trying to work with understanding what you are learning
Yeah.
about yourself and just kind of opening up your mind and that curiosity. Yeah, I love that. Dominic, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, so one piece of advice I would give to students would be don't be afraid to advocate for yourself when you want to. If you're having a hard time and you need that support, don't be afraid to speak up and say, oh, I need the support on A, B, C, and D. And it will make you have like that sense of relief, like, oh, I was able to advocate for myself. Now I'm getting the support I need out of this thing I'm doing. So yeah, that's like the one big piece of advice I would give. And then another piece would be it's okay to ask questions. Don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm. Owen, over to you.
Okay, if there's one thing I would say to any student who is probably is seeking any kind of advice, it'd be this. When I first started college and I was first a student here, I didn't really do much socially. I was kind of socially. I'd be like in my dorm, I'd just be in my shell. I don't want to do anything. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna like just want to be comfortable. I wanted it, and I was like, no, no. And I realized that I wasn't really gonna succeed. That wasn't really a way to live. And so what I had to do, um, what I felt like I had to do is I had the power in me to basically say, yeah, I can't live the rest of my life hugging my stuffy animals and thinking that everything's gonna be okay in my little shell, my little bubble, and that the best thing you can do for me is to take those risks, even if it may be discomforting, to find a new club, to go meet some new people. I think is that find the empowerance in yourself to do that, and I think that is probably something that isn't really expressed enough, is that we have peers for a reason, is that what peers will do is arm you with the toolbox that you need to go out and navigate the social world in a way that I guess makes you a little more comfortable to be able to cross what can be a rickety bridge from one side of the mountain to the other. And so my advice is just you gotta put yourself in there and be ready to get uncomfortable, but you're gonna come out a lot much better person out of it, and it'll benefit you way more in the future than you think it will. So I think definitely get out of your shell. I think there's nothing else that would be I would say than that.
Thank you for all of your answers. And, you all touched on this part of self-advocacy and empowerment that I think is so important and relevant in the world of peers. So my next question is for you, Dominic. If you could go back and talk to your high school self, what would you say about self-advocacy or navigating social life?
I'm gonna start off with social life first. I talked about self-advocacy previously. The advice I would give to my high school self in terms of in terms of navigating social life is that this one big component that you learn in peers, which is that friendship is a choice. You're not going to be friends with everyone, and not everyone's going to be friends with you. That's a really big component that you learn in the peers program, and it's important to utilize that when you can. That way, you don't feel pressure into yourself when you want to be friends with someone, but they don't want to be friends with you. It's okay that you will find your people. That's the first thing I would say to my high school self about navigating social life. In terms of like self-advocacy, there will be times when you'll lose that confidence and be like, am I going to be able to advocate for myself when you can? But sometimes you gotta just put yourself out there and say, you know what? I'm gonna get through this. I gotta advocate for myself to get where I'm at in order to succeed. And this is how I'm gonna do it.
Thank you for sharing, Dominic. Those are excellent pieces of advice to give to your high school self. Owen, would you like to add on?
I think I was absolutely fascinated in what Dominic said and what he would say to his former self. I can still recall when I was in high school. It was only, what is it, like 3 years, 3.5 years ago? God, that feels like a long time ago. But definitely, if I could recall that time, is again, I was in my little shell, and I would retreat to my Discord friends, and I'd chat with them, and it'd be all great and on all that. And so I think it would have been to my what I've told myself is that there's a social world out there, but sometimes you just need a new environment, especially if you've been in the same school district since you're in your young child. I was in my district since I was in the third grade, and the trip ups that I had when I was young and I didn't have the skills often would stick around. And some people may get lucky, some people may not. For me, it was kind of a mix of both. And so if I would tell myself anything, it's that really these kind of skills are going to be important in your life and being able to expand on that. So if really just giving yourself a chance and basically saying, I can do this, and really just to know that there will be an opportunity to do that one day. There is going to be in a time in your life where your parents can order and cannot order for you at the restaurant anymore or at McDonald's. So it's like there's a time when you kind of have to come to that self-realization, and again it's to step out of that shell. And so again, it's really scary, it's a scary world out there, but again, you can do it. You really can, even if you have the awkward moments when the waiter asks what would you order and you just freeze up like I had that experience. I definitely felt that way, and really the only way I could get out of that is if I was forced to, and that's often what happened to me when I was in grade school. And so I realized that I'm gonna have to do it anyway. So, and for lack of a better word, why the hell not?
Thank you for sharing. CJ?
I sort of agree with what you guys are saying. I think my situation was different. I think to like step out of that comfort zone, you have to have a good support system, and I really didn't. So if I was like to go back and say something to my high school self, I would just say it's okay to survive right now. You don't have to like, as amazing as it is to step out of your comfort zone, you can really only do that when you feel like you have people behind you that will catch you when you fall. And so it's okay to like wait for that moment.
Yeah, and your people are definitely out there. I really appreciate and think it's so interesting hearing all of your different perspectives on what you might share with your high school selves. And I wanted to know a little bit more from you, CJ. To start, how did coaching at Landmark support your growth areas? Growth in areas like self-advocacy or asking for help.
How did peers? Is that the first part of the question?
Coaching specifically.
Oh, coaching
Yeah,
specifically. Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so let me think. Coaching was really helpful. I the school, okay, so the academic part of schooling for me hasn't been like as hard as social navigating, and that was the primary reason why I couldn't like I dropped out of my first college, that and mental health reasons. So I always like struggled with that, and my confidence was like so low in it. I was really terrified to just talk to pretty much anyone. So like having that person to go back to and talk about specific problems that I was having was super helpful. Also just like to vent, because sometimes you need to vent about your specific things. And something that like we learn in peers is that you can't really, there's a certain like time and place where you can vent to other people, but like having that designated time where you can vent to a professional and it won't like impact your relationship, which I like agree with, um, was really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I try and frame it to our participants as a protected time week to week where they can really explore and individualize the experience that they're having during that part of peers. Whereas, the rest of peers can feel very much a group oriented curriculum type
Yeah.
of experience. So I think the coaching time is like a really cool time to get into it. Over to you, Dominic. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so coaching in areas of self-advocacy and for help. It helped me succeed. It helped me be a better person academically as well as socially. I know for me, my coaching experience was different in both the peers component and the academic component because it was more like checking in with me to make sure like I was giving myself enough reassurance and credit where it was deserved. Um, Before coming to Landmark, I went to a neurodiverse high school. So I kind of had the tools already set for me for how to succeed at Landmark. So to answer this question the best I can, it helped me out in a positive way. And Landmark gave me even more tools to succeed, both before coming to Landmark and after my time at Landmark as a student.
Yeah, a lot of the skills that we explore can be transferable, and that's awesome to hear, Dominic. Thank you. Over to you, Owen. I say that a lot, don't I? Owen, you're next.
Uh, of course. But to kind of get into this one, first of all, what CJ and Dominic said, absolutely fascinating and incredible answers. My end, my social coach, I think was pretty cool. He's Australian, and he told me what a wombat is for the first time, and he knows a lot about video games, so I think that's pretty cool. But besides the point, um, he pretty much would kind of share his experience and like say, I come in with this experience that's like this was a really, really positive experience or this was a really negative one. And it gave me a safe space where I could express how I felt about that and what was going through my mind. And basically like say, I don't know if this acronym's come where it's like AMIA. It's like, am I the odd one out? Like, am I the one who maybe it's like this? Maybe how did I respond to this one? Like, was I rational here? And really, you're good. It's like you never. It's never that I'm going to get something that's like a perfect answer, but I am going to get something based on someone's personal experience, and we can kind of couple them together. It's like when I had this, something like this happen to me. I did A, and then I got X, Y, and Z, and so it's a safe space and a one-on-one time to kind of just share how those things are going and be able to check in. And for me, being able to check in with someone is really makes a really big difference between being a successful and kind of the latter. And so I think that it was the change for me. I think I could not have been more thankful for.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, this question is one that I had ready for you, Owen, so I'll ask it, and then this can be the last one before we turn it over to the audience. What did you learn about yourself socially or emotionally through working with peers or a social coach?
Oh, that's a big one, and really, I might have to get paragraphs because I could write a whole essay about all of that. But really, I've learned a lot about myself, not only through the coaching I've done, but also through all the community, how much I've learned about communications, because my boss is a communications professor, so it's going to be pretty darn um obvious that I'm expected to know a lot about this because he's kind of mentored me a lot, and so also socially, as Pearson has done for me, is that it says things about me that like maybe I am a little emotionally sensitive, or I don't like it when people are harsh with me, or I don't like it when people use certain terminology, certain language with me, or that this is a situation where I'm uncomfortable. This is a part that I struggle with, and being able to be self-aware of, yeah, maybe I'm the one that maybe didn't do that right. And instead of the people that are like, oh, okay, they're like, okay, I did nothing wrong. Me, I'm the best. It's no it's more so being able to self-reflect and be able to look at it from your perspective and basically be able to look at that experience and maybe was like um maybe I could have done this a little bit differently and being able to change and be able to come be open about it and come forward and just knowing what values are important to you, not only in communication, but also how those different things work out. And so what a social coach did for me was kind of be able to not exactly do it for me, but more so give me the keys per se on how to do that. And I think those keys have unlocked a lot of doors for me in being able to self-discover, because when you have a place for with a social coach that you trust and you can get comfortable and willing to be open, even if it gets a tad bit a little bit emotional, which maybe those experiences in my life, if they did hurt me, they absolutely did. But even at this, then it really, really does open a lot. And so, because when you can get deep in, even if it's like stuff that you're not proud of, you reflect on it and you think about it. And so that's what it's done for me, and I found it definitely, definitely super helpful.
Thank you, Owen. CJ?
I would say a few things. One of them, a friend actually told me about this, and I had no idea I was doing it. But he said that sometimes when I meet like a new person, I get overly familiar and I start like joking immediately, and sometimes my humor doesn't match up with theirs, so it can be kind of off-putting. He said, actually at the beginning of our friendship, he didn't like tell me first, like when it happened, but a little bit later that like that took him aback a little bit. And so like hearing that and knowing that now I have changed like how I do that a little bit because I've realized that yeah, I do that. And so hearing that was, you know, kind of shocking but like necessary. Also just I've learned sort of like what Owen was saying about sensitivity. My sensory like sensitivity directly correlates with the amount of patience I have. And so I didn't think it was that bad, but like being in so many situations and like realizing, okay, I am actually different than a lot of other people. So I really need to take care of my body because if I don't, I become kind of an asshole. Sorry. Um, just like knowing that and trying to like prepare. I'm still working on it, but it's something that I'm now much more aware of.
Thanks, CJ. Dominic?
I'm gonna be very honest. Do you mind repeating the question again?
No problem at all.
Okay.
The question was, what did you learn about yourself, either socially or emotionally, through working with peers or a social coach?
Yeah, so emotionally, I learned that sometimes, depending on the situation, that I can get socially anxious or like socially like awkward when I first meet people. But then like depending on like the vibe I'm getting or like how like, comfortable I am with them, I'll start to open up bit by bit. And then that's the emotional piece. The social piece, I learned about myself through the peers program I that I'm really good at like training information. Not like really good at it, but like I'm learning bit by bit about like how to interact with people. And it's okay to like have like those pausing moments in a conversation. And it's like you don't have to constantly talk to people when like you're having a conversation. You can have like those brief pauses to think about when like what you want to next talk about. So yeah.
Well, thank you all for all of your answers to the panel portion for today. As so many have said in the chat, it means so much that that you're here today and that you're sharing so honestly about your experiences. It really makes all the difference in helping to understand the potential impact that a program or like workshop like this can have. We have a key takeaway slide here, but I'm gonna skip past it and let's just go into questions and discussion so that we have some time to hear from all of you. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have for me or for the students and alumni panelists that we have here today. You're also welcome to share your own experiences, and this is really meant to be a conversation, so don't be shy.
Okay, well, we do have questions, which I am happy to read off in just a bit, but I want to direct everyone's attention to the chat where I have put the links to the English evaluation and the Spanish evaluation. If you could please click on one of them for simple questions. If you could fill them out, we'd very much appreciate it. I tend to be a little annoying, keep directing people's attention back to them because I like to get at least, 75% participation the evening of the event. So with that, what are the age groups that peers is suitable for? Would adults above the age of 30 who have gotten diagnosed late in life benefit?
Is that directed towards anyone, or anyone can answer?
I think anyone can answer that.
Okay. Would any of you want to answer that, or do you want me to take it?
I mean, oh, sorry.
Go for it, CJ.
Yeah, I think it'll be beneficial for really anyone, even like neurotypical people, honestly. But I don't know the rules, so maybe over to you.
Yeah, I think you would just have to find a place that would offer it to the age group that you're looking for. For example, we have a group here at the Landmark College Success Center in the Bay Area that is for teens. That's from like 15 to 18-year-olds, 17, 18. And then we have a young adults that's 18 plus. And we try and match them amongst their age groups just to give them like a leg up in terms of being able to relate to the other folks that they're in groups with. But it really, like CJ said, the curriculum can be helpful no matter where you are. I know I learned a lot about myself, having gone through the training and now, facilitating the workshops myself.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And if any of you had IEPs in school, so I'm assuming this is for our student and alumni panelists, do you feel this was a better choice for you than going to a quote unquote regular college and utilizing the Disability Student Center?
For me, yes. Landmark was a very beneficial place for me back when I was a student. And I'm very grateful for what Landmark offered me throughout my time in terms of support, guidance, resources for me to be the best person I can be today.
Yeah, I didn't actually have an IEP. I wish I did. I could have really benefited from it. But unfortunately, I think partly because I'm a girl, I just got looked past for a while before I got diagnosed. I went to a quote unquote no normal college before this, and I will say the disability services there was incredibly hard to access. And I found that like even if I had disability accommodations, I would have to fight teachers to get those accommodations to be used.
Mm.
So, I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but I've had kind of bad experiences with that.
Okay.
If I could just add my answer to this one. I had an IEP for most of my K through 12, and I only got downgraded to a 504 plan in like the last like 6 months that I was in school, though. As a person who wanted to go to a traditional university, I wanted to actually do what my brother did and go to school in Montreal, Quebec, like this massive, I think it was like 30,000 person university, McGill. And then I just got randomly some birdie came on my shoulder and told me what Landmark was, and I I wasn't reluctant to go because I wanted to just do. I didn't really believe in my learning difference back then as much as I do now, and so when I came here, and now I'm realizing that I this is kind of my jam, and so I probably would have doing a lot better here, and so because I realized that I've had so many people tell me stories about like the disability services. So I realized that me personally, if I'd gone somewhere else or somewhere in Quebec, I probably would have been screwed for lack of a better word. So I feel like this is definitely, I think, in the right cards for me was to go to Landmark.
Okay, thank you. Does somebody need a formal diagnosis to be eligible to do the peers program? Maybe that's for Oindrila.
No. We don't require a formal diagnosis. Like again, like I said earlier, even folks that identify as neurotypical can benefit from a program like this. So if you're just noticing anything at all, or if there's anything that you suspect, we'd be more than happy to meet with you and see what services seem like the best fit for you, including peers.
Okay. And how about advice that any of you would give to high school students who are looking for their first job, but also struggle with social interactions? Why don't you
So,
think on that one? Oh, there we go. Okay, there's Tom.
yeah, of course, I gotcha. So the question was, if I heard it correctly, advice I would give to high school students who are looking for their first job, but in terms of like social interaction, like that confidence, is that correct?
Mm,
Okay. Um, the advice I would give to a high school student in terms of that, is really look for, I know for me, when I got my first job here on the campus when I was a student as a social pragmatics PA program assistant, um, I made sure that, like, I guess I want the right wording I want to say with my expressive piece is like, will this job align with my goals, and will I like learn something out of it? Will I enjoy what I'm doing? That's like the first piece of advice. In terms of the social interaction piece, it's like, will I be able to engage with the material that I'm around? So, yeah.
Yeah, adding on to that, I would say think about what you realistically can do. And that's not like in a self-deprecating way. I just know that like if I was around children 24/7 because of my sensory issues, I would go insane. So like knowing that piece about yourself is really helpful. I think being able to communicate with your coworkers and your bosses that like, hey, this is something, I'm dealing with and it's a struggle, but I'm working on it is important. And if you can't do that, maybe it's not the right job. Maybe start with something else.
okay, thanks. Owen, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I could probably come up with probably a few things. Um, that's a tough one because I have like three jobs here, but most of them are within the campus and like figuring out with that. And so um I find that the community we have to build, and as I was writing a cover letter earlier today, is that um, a community for someone who struggles with social interaction is really they have the support that's within their own colleagues, especially if they start in the office, especially if it's more like an kind of like an office admin job and they're not always dealing with the public because there's like the customer service as a whole different thing. But I think just like starting and then starting to expand little by little with what they're learning, I think definitely does definitely will help them get to that point. Um so I think that's what my take on it is.
Okay, thanks. I'm just going to direct people's attention again to the chat with the English evaluation and the Spanish evaluation. I told you I could get annoying about it. If you could just click on it, answer those 4 questions, we can keep coming back, bringing quality programming like this to viewers like you. And by the clock on the screen, we have about 4 minutes left. So I think I'd like to ask all of you, um, what if you did consider yourself an introvert before the program? I think maybe CJ might have mentioned this. What made you decide to take the peers program?
Um, I could go first. Yeah, I knew I was an introvert, but I also knew that I really wanted that social connection. Sometimes I didn't, but I did feel really lonely. And I also like I knew that I would have to interact with people on a daily basis, especially if I was going to like get a job and live in the real world. And so I really wanted to like increase my social skills. And I will say that I'm still an introvert. I just have better ways of managing, and I have a better understanding of who I am. But I think that that decision is definitely kind of mostly on the individual, unfortunately. Like I think you can support, but at the end of the day, if I didn't want to do it, I would have dug my heels in because I'm very stubborn. But I knew that I had to.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have something to say. So if I'm hearing the question correctly, the question was, well, can you actually repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Sure. Uh, Whether you consider yourself an introvert or not before taking the program, what made you decide to take the peers program?
Okay, that's what I thought you said. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you. So when me personally wanted to take the peers program, so for a little bit of background context, before coming to Landmark, I had done peers at my previous school. It was through third grade I did the program up until my senior year of high school. I did it through a therapy called SCS therapy, which stands for social confidence strategies. And I knew that the peers program did a lot for me back when I was at my previous school, throughout my time at Landmark. And I know that one of my goals in life is to get back to the LD or neurodiverse community, both socially and academically as well. So I knew that by doing peers at Landmark would give me the opportunities that I had throughout my time there, through doing a PA assistantship, program assistant job at Social Pragmatics, to doing summer internships with the Social Pragmatics department, and the job I have now, which is a Social Pragmatics graduate assistant. And if it wasn't for the peers program, I wouldn't be able to have the opportunities that I currently have now.
Okay, thank you. It is 6:59. I think I'd just like to open it to all of you. Any last words?
I think just did want to give my answer to that question a little bit, but also just kind of to close it out on my end. Uh, can you remind me what the question was one more time? My memory is going to having a moment.
Sure. That was this the one about if you
Yeah,
did or
like most
didn't
recent one.
consider yourself an introvert, what made you decide to take the peers program?
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
Sure.
And really, I am an introvert. I am an introvert at heart. I am an autistic at heart. I am all over the place at heart. I always have been. Though I did peers again for some of the reasons that CJ cited. That like you're gonna have to talk to people in your life even if you get a job, and that the reality is that um if something happens, mommy and daddy aren't always gonna be there to fix everything, and really you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet going into the real world. And really the big one is that um you are an adult and you are capable of doing anything and that you are capable of doing. Um and so what I would say about that is it's just kind of just go out there and explore. You can still and always just still be yourself. I still like to keep this guy with me. I'm surprised nobody's asked me for his name yet. But he's kind of like he's special to me, and I even as I'm 21, I still have him around because I think it's cool. And even then in the peers world we call this a prop. You can think of it as a prop. I have a ton of props in here. I'm not gonna get try not to get too nerdy, but it's really I am an introvert at heart and always have been, but there's some days where I'm gonna have to talk and use my voice. And so it's better that I go out prepared with the tools than not really than just kind of just to sit at home on Discord doing nothing. But also that's kind of my take on this. And also one of my special interests is I'm kind of a mug collector, so that's just another cool fact about me. That's just extra. Thank you.
I actually have something. I just would like to say unconditional love, support, positivity. even when we're like not moving forward in other people's eyes, is so incredibly helpful. I wish I had that. I think I would have realized like or accepted my autism diagnosis and all of the stuff that was like different about me so much sooner if I had that support system. And I think it's not to get too like sappy, but I think it's really nice that like there are parents here that want to learn from us, that already like have that base and are already like willing to learn. And I think that's just so amazing and really like heartwarming.
I think that might be a wonderful note to end on, even though we do have questions that I'm very sorry we couldn't get to, but that's always the way it is. We have a very inquisitive audience. Our statewide online audience always has lots of questions, but you're getting lots of love and hearts and clapping coming across the screen. I myself, I love when we have, especially the student alumni panels. I thank Oindrila for putting it together. I know they're not easy, and I thank our participants. I, of course, thank Beatrice, who is our ace interpreter. Everybody's saying they're so moved. Thank you for sharing so eloquently and openly. I don't know if you've been reading the chat as it's been going along. Maybe I'll save it and send it to you. And that way you can see all the wonderful things people are saying about you. So again, thank you. I've put links to information about Landmark, both in the Q&A and in the chat. You'll get more links tomorrow with the slides that we'll be sending both in English and Spanish to everybody who's attended. And again, panel, very helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're all so awesome. Yes. All right. Thank you very much.